Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Spiral Weave Delve and how you can complete it on tier 8 with a 5-minute guide. So hopefully I'll cover everything you need to know. The location is as such, it's by Siege Hold. You need to fly there from the Weaver's Lair. It is at 4519 in terms of TomTom. My character was 605 at the time, but I've been running this since about 589. I am a Demon Hunter tank, and I have my 2-set bonus. I did not have it when I first ran it. It's actually fairly simple. From there, you should be pretty good to go. We'll be running this at tier 8. We'll be running it with Bountiful active. Not that it makes much difference to anything but the reward. And then we are with a Brann that is level 29, I believe. Porcelain, Arrowhead, and Amphorus Relic are the ones I'm going with. Now, the events consist of 3. You will have the first enemy you face, pretty simple. You'll then have a spider swarm you need to clear around a treasure. Then after that you will have to rescue 8 puppets. And then finally you will have to take on the Puppet Master boss. Although the Puppet Master is a boss, there's actually only really sub-bosses in this dungeon, as the Puppet Master consists of multiple phases. In terms of hazards, webs are the only real floor map hazard that you need to be aware of here. Also, you may want to look out for the spindles, as completing their little puzzle challenge will net you some really nice boons and buffs overall. Now, in terms of the mobs here, so for the first one, the Peculiar Nerubian, you just want to kick basically Shadow Bolt. If you have any additional, you can do Shadow of Strife. For the treasure section, it's also actually very simple. If you are getting overwhelmed, hopefully you have an AoE stun that you can use, or a fear or something, but most parts here, it's just basically intense AoE. The enemies aren't that hectic, so you don't really have that many issues. The next section is where things get interesting, so you have to rescue the puppets by applying antitoxin to them. These mobs tend to come in different batches, so although they all say Puppet Master, this is not the case. So basically you get rogues. These rogues can perform stab on you. You can take a bit of damage from this, but those are actually the most basic enemies. The next one you can find is you can get a Weeping Shade mob. This will cast Death Bolt and a wide AoE Death Pulse, which you want to avoid. The next one you can find are Cobus Witherers and Cobus Necromancers. So Cobus Necromancers you really want to interrupt and then avoid their Defiling Breath attack, whereas with Cobus Witherers you want to obviously interrupt their Abyssal Cast. Preference would be interrupting Abyssal Cast and then avoiding Defiling Breath. The next one is your Nightfall Hope Stealers, or these mage characters with the staff. You want to interrupt their Shadow Bolt. It does a lot of damage to you, but also be aware because they can overcharge their auto attacks quite substantially. There are 2 types of mushrooms you can find in here. The first one is an orange one. This one isn't too bad. They have a conal attack that you want to avoid. They're usually surrounded by little allies. What you want to do here though is interrupt their battle cry. If they do still have any adds alive and they hit their battle cry, then you can tend to take quite a fair chunk of damage. Obviously, you will come across Zekfir's Boon. Remember to save your cooldowns for this section, but otherwise most of these mobs are pretty much the same as what you faced before. The last batch is a lizard that you'll find, and you will also find a fungal rot caller, which is the different mushroom. This mushroom is black and will cast Rotten Bolt you want to interrupt, and then try and avoid the mushrooms he throws on the floor, as it will give you quite a bit of issues. The lizard also casts a knockback ability that you really want to avoid, so be aware of that, or at least be aware for when it pushes you backwards. For phase 3, because you don't have to kill adds, you can choose to try and avoid them as much as possible. An invisibility potion will do great here, as you only need to run past I think 3 packs before you can get to the end of the dungeon. Now of course, the Puppet Master is actually a pretty straightforward fight. He consists of 3 phases, so stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. The initial phase is just against the Puppet Master himself, where again you just focus on one interrupt or web blast. He will do Grimweave Orb, which will spawn some more webs, but you can just avoid this pretty easily. Stage 1, you will face 4 Skittering Swarmers. These enemies will charge you, but they're pretty easy to tell where they're going. You'll see them charging up their charge. They have a little cooldown bar for it, and you can just move out of their way. Beyond that, they don't do a lot of damage, so as long as you avoid the charge, you're good. The next phase is 3 Nerubium Captain mobs, or mini versions. Basically, try to stop webbed Aegis, as this will make them a little bit tankier. But if you can stop webbed Aegis from a couple of them, or even just one of them, they become very squishy. And then finally, we have the boss himself, the boss in inverted commas. But all you have to do here is avoid Jagged Barbs, which is very easy. And then during his swarm ability, use any defensive cooldowns. And that's it. Pretty simple.